never lose your way in the maze. Don't look behind you, because she'll already be walking right behind you." I laughed when I first heard those words, but now I wish I hadn't, because that night changed my life forever. My name is Noah Carter. I'm 27 years old and I live in Chicago, USA. I used to make YouTube videos exploring haunted places, abandoned buildings, haunted hospitals, creepy forests. All of it was just content to me. But then I received an email that changed my life forever. It was around 2 a.m. I was sitting in my apartment editing a video when a notification popped up on my laptop. Unknown sender. The subject line read, "St. Mercy Maze wants you." A strange feeling hit me. I opened the email. There was only one photo. An old church, a massive maze behind it, and in the corner of the image stood a dark shadow. Below the picture was just one line. "Sister Madeline is still looking for the children." My hands froze because I had heard that name before. St. Mercy Orphanage, an orphanage built in 1948 in a small deserted town in Ohio. People said a nun lived there, Sister Madeline. According to the rumors, she used to punish children by locking them inside the maze. Some children never came back. Then one night, a fire broke out inside the orphanage, and after that, the entire place was abandoned. But the most terrifying part was this. Even after the fire, people claimed they still saw a nun wandering around the property. Black dress, pale face, and a giant wooden cross in her hand. I took a deep breath. Perfect content, I whispered to myself. The next day, I headed to Ohio with my friend Ethan Brooks. Ethan was my cameraman, funny, fearless, and obsessed with getting views. During the road trip, he kept laughing. "Bro, imagine if we actually catch a ghost on camera. This video will blow up." I tried to laugh too, but for some reason, something inside me felt wrong. By evening, we reached the town. The entire place looked dead. Broken roads, closed shops, dust everywhere. It felt like nobody had lived there for years. We stopped at a gas station. An old man was sitting outside. I asked him, "Do you know where St. Mercy Orphanage is?" His face instantly changed. Softly, he said, "You boys shouldn't go there." Ethan laughed. "Why? Is the haunted nun gonna eat us?" But the old man didn't smile. He stared directly into my eyes and said, "The maze changes at night." A chill ran down my spine. "What do you mean?" He leaned closer. "Anyone who enters forgets the way out." Silence filled the air for a few seconds. Then he handed me a small silver cross. "If you hear the bell, don't run. Hide." Before I could ask anything else, he walked back inside. 10 p.m. We finally arrived at the orphanage, and the moment I saw it, my stomach dropped. The place looked like a nightmare. An old Gothic building, shattered windows, dead trees swaying in the wind, and behind it, the maze, so massive that its end disappeared into darkness. Ethan turned on the camera. "Yo guys, tonight we explore the most haunted orphanage in America." I forced a fake smile, but deep inside, the fear was growing. We entered the building. The main hall was completely burned. Children's drawings covered the walls. Some of them showed a black nun, and every drawing had a cross scratched over her face. Ethan whispered, "This is messed up." Then suddenly, we heard something upstairs. Thud, 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 like wood hitting the floor. We both froze. The sound came again, slower this time, but closer. "Thud, thud, thud," Ethan whispered. "Did you hear that?" I nodded. Then suddenly, a shadow appeared in the upstairs corridor. Tall figure, Nundress, something long in her hand. My throat went dry. Run! We bolted backward. But when we looked back at the corridor, there was nothing there. Only darkness. We stopped, breathing heavily. Ethan gave a nervous laugh. Maybe it's just some homeless person. But then the camera screen glitched, and for a split second, a face appeared on the screen. White skin, black hollow eyes, and a huge twisted smile. Then the screen went back to normal. Ethan's face turned pale. Bro, tell me you saw that. I couldn't answer. Around midnight, we reached the entrance of the maze behind the orphanage. The iron gate was half open. Rusty letters on top read, "Only the guilty get lost." The air suddenly became freezing cold. Inside the maze was nothing but darkness. I pointed my flashlight inside. Tall hedges, narrow paths, endless turns. Ethan grinned nervously. This is insane. But then, we heard children crying somewhere deep inside. We both froze. A little girl's voice echoed through the maze. Please, don't leave me. My hand started shaking. Ethan whispered, There's no way this is a prank. Then suddenly, a church bell rang from inside the maze. Dong! The old man's warning echoed in my head. If you hear the bell, hide. But before we could react, a voice emerged from the darkness. Soft, broken, like someone reciting a prayer, Latin words. And then, a tall black figure slowly stepped out of the shadows. Nundress, pale face, empty black eyes, and a giant wooden cross in her hand. Sister Madeline, her neck twisted unnaturally to one side, her lips slowly opened. Children, come back, Ethan screamed. Run! We ran into the maze. Behind us, we could hear the wooden cross slamming against the ground. Thud, thud, thud. We kept taking turns, running deeper and deeper. But the maze never ended. Then suddenly, we stopped because written on the wall in fresh blood were the words, "She is not alone." My breathing stopped, and then Ethan slowly grabbed my shoulder. His hand was trembling. Noah! I turned toward him slowly. His eyes were wide with terror. He was staring behind me. In a shaking voice, he whispered, "She's standing right behind you." My blood turned to ice. Ethan's eyes were locked on something behind me. Slowly, I turned around and I screamed. Sister Madeline was standing inches away from me, so close that I could see her rotten skin. Her eyes were completely black. Broken teeth showed between her cracked lips. She smiled slowly, then whispered, "You came back, Noah." My heart nearly stopped. How do you know my name?" But she didn't answer. She raised the giant wooden cross and suddenly smashed Ethan with it. Bam! Ethan flew backward. Blood streamed down his forehead. I grabbed him and we ran deeper into the maze. Behind us, her voice echoed through the darkness. No child leaves the maze. After running for what felt like forever, we reached the center of the maze, an open courtyard. In the middle stood an old statue, the Virgin Mary. But the face was broken, and beneath it were dozens of tiny crosses. Each cross had a child's name carved into it. I moved my flashlight closer, and my heart stopped. One cross read, Noah Carter. My hands started shaking. "That's impossible!" Ethan stepped back in horror. "Bro, how is your name here?" Then suddenly, on the other side of the courtyard, we saw a door. An old iron basement door, wrapped in chains. Above it were the words, "Confession Room." Suddenly, someone started pounding on the door from inside. Bang! 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 A girl screamed, "Please help me!" I instinctively stepped forward, but Ethan shouted, "No! It could be a trap!" Still, The voice sounded so real that I couldn't ignore it. I removed the chains. The door slowly creaked open. Inside was complete darkness. We walked down the stairs. The basement smelled horrible, like rotting flesh. Bible verses covered the walls, but they were smeared with blood. Then we found a room, and the moment Ethan saw it, he threw up. Dozens of tiny skeletons were scattered across the floor. Children's skeletons. Some still held rosaries. Some had cloth tied over their mouths. I stood there in shock. Then suddenly a voice spoke behind us. She punished the sinners. We spun around. An old woman sat in a wheelchair. Her eyes were almost completely white. She spoke slowly. "Why did you come here?" My voice trembled. "Who are you?" Tears rolled down her face. "I'm Emily, the last survivor of St. Mercy." Silence filled the room. Her body shook as she whispered, "Madeline wasn't a nun. She was a monster." She told us everything. Sister Madeline tortured children she believed were sinful. Any child who broke the rules was locked inside the maze. Many starved to death. Some disappeared forever. Then one night, the orphanage workers tried to stop her, but Madeline set the entire building on fire. Everyone burned, but her body was never found. Emily looked directly at me. "But the worst part is still coming." I swallowed hard. "What do you mean?" She pointed a trembling finger at me. "She only calls people who have a connection to her." My throat went dry. "Connection?" Emily whispered. "Your mother was a child here." The ground beneath me felt like it disappeared. "What?" "Your mother escaped St. Mercy, but Madeline made a promise." Her voice cracked. "She said she would one day take back her bloodline." My mind went numb. Then suddenly, the church bell began ringing violently upstairs. Dong! 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 Emily started trembling in fear. "She's here." The basement lights began flickering, and then we heard that familiar sound echoing through the hallway. Thud! 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 Sister Madeline. Her shadow slowly appeared at the end of the hallway, but this time, she wasn't alone. Behind her stood dozens of small child shadows. Their eyes were pitch black, and together they whispered, "Stay with us." Ethan panicked. "We have to go now." We ran, but the maze had changed. The walls were moving. Paths were sealing shut on their own. Children's laughter echoed from every direction. Then suddenly, Ethan stopped. I turned around. A small child was holding his hand. Half of the child's face was burned. In a soft voice, the child whispered, "Don't leave me." Ethan froze, and in that exact moment, Sister Madeline emerged from the darkness. She grabbed Ethan by the throat. I ran toward him, but Ethan shoved me away. Tears filled his eyes. "Run, Noah!" Madeline dragged him into the darkness. His screams echoed through the maze. Then, silence. I was alone. Just my heavy breathing and the distant church bell. I ran through the maze crying. Then suddenly, I saw the exit, the same iron gate. I used every ounce of strength left in my body and escaped. The moment I stepped outside, all the sounds stopped. I collapsed onto the road. Morning had arrived. The police came later, but they found nothing inside the maze. No Ethan, no basement, no crosses, nothing, as if none of it had ever existed. 3 months later, I quit YouTube. Nightmares haunted me every night. Every dream ended with that nun staring at me, but the real horror wasn't over. One night, I was sitting alone in my apartment when my laptop suddenly turned on by itself. A live camera feed appeared on the screen. The maze. I froze. The camera slowly moved, and there stood Ethan. but his eyes were completely black. He stared directly into the camera and smiled, then stepped backward into the darkness, and Sister Madeline emerged behind him. She leaned close to the camera and whispered, "Noah, your child is waiting." My blood turned cold, because at that exact moment I heard the sound of wood striking the hallway floor outside my apartment. Thud, 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 and then a voice whispered from outside my door, "Come back to the maze."